Tsundoku, noun. Language of origin, Japanese. Meaning, the act of acquiring books but allowing them to pile up unread.
When Japan's weather goes off the rails and you particularly need some rays, you can call upon a sunshine girl who can pray for the sun to make an appearance. With a striking success record, Hina is just such a girl, but she not only brings a cheerful disposition in the sky to the citizens of Tokyo, but to the life of troubled teenager Hodoka. Having run away from home, Hodoka has been put in a bit of a bind. What do you do when you find a gun in Japan and a girl apparently in trouble? Let's open up Animation Beyond Nations, a look at cartoons crossing the globe. Coming off of Your Name, director Makoto Shinkai had significant expectations to meet in his follow-up work. There's no doubt the movie was a financial and critical success in Japan, becoming the highest grossing movie in 2019. Shout Factory's released the movie on Blu-ray in America, but the question remains, was the forecast accurate and this is a bright and shiny release worth your time, or does the movie fizzle out when you're not in a theater?
Comics, games, animation, and a variety of henshin credible superhero shows from Japan. Chad Bonin guides you through the Tsundoku Zone.
That maybe.
What? That I'm totally awesome? I know!
I should call you Senpai. It's crazy. It started pouring out of nowhere.
You should know better by now.
Both Your Name and Weathering With You are visual treats, great works that largely stick to hand-drawn animation and show why that still matters in the 21st century. There's a true image excellence in these films that isn't replicated by the best current American animation has to offer, and that's immediately discrediting the glut of films that are meant to sell toys and fart jokes to children. For many, Makoto Shinkai is the new voice of Japanese animation, pairing with Mamoru Hosoda and carrying the torch from luminaries like Hayao Miyazaki, effectively retiring, and Satoshi Kon, taken from us way too soon. This is not to discredit the teams that work with them, but it's as easy to point at the work of these directors as much as it is a Brad Bird or Gendy Tartakovsky work. The work is so tied up in the writer-directors that it's hard not to see it as a singular vision, though clearly talented teams of animators, background artists, and the like support the theatrical superstructure. Weathering With You is not the movie that made me cry in theaters, and is not the movie that pumped me up in theaters. It's a perfectly fine movie when it comes to the story. Focused on Hodoka, the story is set in a year where Japan has been overwhelmed by constant rainfall. The boy, having escaped to Tokyo for unspecified reasons, tries to survive by his wits alone, but finds that the only way a teenager can fly under the radar of the police is with a little bit of help from both a magazine publisher that he has a chance encounter with.
I see. Well, if you ever need help, feel free to reach out. See you around, little man.
And a McDonald's employee who takes pity on him.
Sorry, what's this?
It's for you, but don't tell.
But what for?
Take it, unless you want to have chowder for dinner again.
Seriously, it's McDonald's. Like Mac and Me, this is a legitimate McDonald's restaurant introduced as an early plot point. Complicating matters is the fact that Hodoka both found a gun and was stupid enough to keep it on him. Real talk, this is one of the moments where the movie goes from an internationally balanced movie to one that clearly was not made with the American audience in mind. The implication is that, in Japan, being caught with a gun would be a horrifying situation. Hodoka's run-in with Hina at the fast food chain leads to their paths crossing one more time when Hodoka attempts to save her from a questionable situation. Naturally, this leads to Chekhov's gun being fired and an escape from everybody in earshot.
You really are dumb.
From here, the cast of characters find themselves in a comfortable status quo. The magazine publisher that saved his life earlier, Keisuke Suga, has hired Hodoka to be an assistant and gopher at his business alongside Natsumi, the Greendale Community College student, if being voiced by Allison Brie is any indication. Hodoka lives at the office and works for them, but his true passion lies in helping Hina and her brother, young playboy Nagasa, with their new side hustle.
What a player!
Ooh, did you curl it? Do you like it like this?
I do. Super cute.
As referenced early on, Hina has the power to pray for the sun and actually have it appear. The kids find themselves exploiting Hina's supernatural powers to save the day for various citizens of Tokyo for a nice little paycheck. Their journey takes them from outdoor markets to wedding venues, and even past the cast of Your Name in 2 neat little cameos.
Good luck, okay?
Any situation where you think you need some sunlight to make your day perfect, they'll be there. Naturally, this bit of magic comes at a cost, and therein lies the conflicts and climax of the last third of the movie.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
It's amazing how a simple thing like the weather can affect our moods.
The movie's general plot is great. Pacing may have its issues, as it seems to go on just a little too long near the end. What the movie does with the characters is disappointing though. Nearly every character's backstory is hinted at, but not fully explored. Entertaining characters like Natsumi and Keisuke are supporting characters for sure, but we do see glimpses of their lives that make us want more. Hodoka has main character syndrome, in which he is really being heroic in all his actions, but comes off as a little bit too valiant for the audience to truly root for him. Holding onto the gun is generally just a boneheaded move, and his petulance at times really does hammer home the point that he's a pubescent adolescent who really doesn't know what to do in these situations where he's clearly not a child, but can't make adult decisions.
I'm not going back. Let's run away.
The biggest flaw is that Hina is barely a character in the movie. Sure, she's easily in 2/3 of the movie, and justifiably missing in the other third, and much of her missed opportunities at characterization come from the fact that the character has multiple mysteries, both from Hodoka and the audience throughout. But she's the prize.
Hodoka? What are you looking at?
I'm not looking at anything.
She was nice to Hodoka with a hamburger, but at no point do we get an actual idea of what their relationship is. Being saved by a person from a bad situation doesn't mean the relationship is rock solid. It means they were helped out. Being encouraged to take a skill and turn it into a business doesn't mean the relationship grew. It means they were encouraged by a friend. If the movie was from her perspective, her plot can be summed up as, the runaway kid you gave a Big Mac to just pulled a gun on some people in Tokyo and now wants to hang out at your house and help you use your talents to make money. Does that sound normal? Much of this can be chalked up to teenagers being the worst, and, obviously, teenagers don't always get involved in healthy relationships. Actually, maybe that just means the movie's accurate in its depiction of teenagers.
Can I ask you something?
The combined extras rival the movie's actual length, and much of it comes straight from Japan. Makoto Shinkai is clearly the focus of much of the disc, as the movie is largely his vision through and through. There's both a collection of interviews with the director and an expansive special that goes over an hour, with television host Yumiko Udo seeing the production throughout and interviewing the director, and Yojiro Noda of the band Radwimps. As the feature goes into production, Shinkai actually shows off the originally planned ending to the movie that was scrapped. The director also talks about how the ever-evolving climate crisis had impacted the movie after the scripting stage. About every possible trailer and TV spot for the film has been collected here, a treasure trove of marketing media. Likewise, a guided tour of the director's work isn't much more than slides and trailers, but it's a great peek into the other titles you might have missed, and a clear indication of the creator and medium's visual evolution over the years. Lastly, a standard fluff special from the release of the movie in Japan talks about the theatrical release and features a bit more of a focus on the voice actors over the other features. It's hard not to see how weathering became a box office phenomenon in Japan. Makoto Shinkai and his team clearly put effort that goes above and beyond into the visuals. This feels like the movie just needed one more good pass at the script to accompany a great set of characters with the amazing imagery. The fact that the movie got to this latest stage of production with a different take on the ending scene, and notably didn't finish until days before the theatrical release, somewhat gives credence to the thought it could have been cooked a little bit more. To parallel into a weather analogy, the movie made it all the way to the theater and stepped in a puddle. The rest of it looks great, but there's just this soggy sock annoying you. That's it for the Tsundoku Zone, but the stack never ends.
This program is brought to you by the support of members of the Tsundoku Zone Patreon. If you enjoyed this episode and have the means, please consider joining to keep the show running and get an inside look on the production.
Are you looking at my boobs?
I am not.
He released Annie's boobs. Annie's boobs could be anywhere. Annie's boobs could be on the side
We
of the
got
road.
it. The monkey's name is Annie's boobs.